They say that if there is love in a person's heart, it can win anyone over. Today's story is just like that, where the world's fastest and most dangerous animal, the cheetah, becomes a friend to a small child. In the wide plains of the African savanna, a cheetah mother spends the morning with her cubs. Suddenly, the peaceful moment is broken as they sense a predator nearby. Moments later, a lion emerges, moving straight toward them. To protect her cubs, the mother bolts, trying to lead the threat away. But despite her incredible speed, she is soon cornered by a pride of lionesses. The group attacks, and tragically, the brave mother does not survive. After the predators leave, unaware of the hidden cubs, the little ones are left scattered in the thick jungle. One cub wanders alone through the night, eventually stumbling onto a road where a car nearly hits it. Fortunately, the driver, Peter, swerves just in time. Shocked to see the tiny creature by itself, Peter and his young son Zen decide to rescue it. Soon they realize the animal is a cheetah cub. Peter gently explains to his son that one day the cub must return to the wild, but Zen quickly grows attached. He promises himself he'll raise the cub until it's strong enough to survive on its own. The very next day, Peter and Zen bring the little cheetah to their farm, a place where they already care for other abandoned animals. Once there, Zen introduces the cub to his mother, who lovingly names him Duma. In no time, the cub becomes part of their family. Months pass, and Duma grows into a powerful, lightning-fast cheetah. During this time, Peter also teaches Zen how to be independent, how to drive, build, and repair all sorts of things. But one day, while working on the farm, Peter suddenly collapses on the tractor. He is rushed to the hospital, and though he eventually returns home looking better, the family senses things are not quite the same. Trying to lift everyone's spirits, Peter one morning challenges Zen to a race against Duma. Riding his motorcycle with Zen in the sidecar, he speeds down the dirt road. Zen records the moment on camera, amazed as Duma easily outruns them, sprinting at more than 50 miles per hour. Back home, Zen's mother Kristen helps him with his studies. In the middle of their lesson, she suddenly bursts into tears. Concerned, Zen asks what's wrong, but she hides her pain and tells him to keep reading. The next day, Zen and Duma are playing in their treehouse when Peter steps inside. With a heavy heart, he tells his son that the time has come to say goodbye to his friend. Duma is nearly an adult now, and he belongs in the wild. Zen refuses, but Peter insists, showing him a map of a valley beyond the mountains where Duma can live in safety. To soften the blow, Peter promises that the following week they'll all have a picnic there and enjoy one last day together. Zen has no choice but to wait for that moment. But late one night, Zen and Duma wake to the sound of an ambulance outside. Zen rushes out and finds his mother, Kristen, who clutches him tightly and whispers that his father's condition has worsened. Sadly, Peter does not survive. At the funeral the next morning, Zen says a final, heartbreaking goodbye to his beloved father. In the days that follow, grief overwhelms the family as they try to adjust to their new reality. But things grow even harder when Kristen tells her son that they can no longer afford the farm. They will have to rent it out and move to Johannesburg to live with his aunt Gwen. The bills are too much to handle without Peter. Zen is devastated. He cannot imagine leaving Duma behind. Though she knows the risks, Kristen decides to let them take the cheetah along until the nature reserve comes to collect him. Soon, moving day arrives. At Aunt Gwen's house, it's clear she is less than thrilled to see a cheetah in her home. Kristen reassures her that Duma will behave. The following morning, she drops Zen at his new school before heading out to search for work. Left alone, Duma lounges on the couch but quickly grows restless. He starts exploring the house, leaps onto the dining table, and frightens Gwen so badly that she bolts outside, accidentally leaving the door wide open. Taking the chance, Duma dashes into the city, trying to track Zen's scent. Meanwhile, Zen is sitting in class when he suddenly spots his cheetah friend through the window. But before he can react, Duma runs off. Within moments, loud screams echo across the school as panic breaks out. The cheetah is inside the building. Chaos erupts and two armed police officers rush in. Desperate, Zen races through the halls, determined to find Duma before anyone else does. Inside the school bathroom, Zen suddenly finds himself surrounded by a gang of bullies. Though outnumbered, he refuses to back down and tries to fight back. Just as the boys shove him to the ground, a low growl echoes through the room. From one of the stalls, Duma bursts out, baring his teeth and roaring to protect his friend. Terrified, the bullies scatter immediately. Zen quickly tries to get Duma out of the building, but the police spot the cheetah beside him and rush to capture them. The boy and his companion bolt through the hallways, sprinting as fast as they can until they finally lose the officers in a nearby park. Hidden among the trees, Zen realizes something important. The city is no place for Duma. Remembering his father's words, he decides to finish the journey Peter had once planned, taking Duma to the valley where he truly belongs. Sneaking back to the farm, Zen grabs his father's motorcycle and the old map. With Duma by his side, he speeds down the open road. Hours later, the bike sputters and dies, out of fuel. Stranded in the middle of nowhere with just a bottle of water, Zen and Duma push the motorcycle forward until they stumble upon the wreckage of a crashed plane. Exhausted, they decide to spend the night there. Zen curls up inside the old fuselage while Duma keeps watch under the stars. As the night deepens, a wandering traveler approaches. Spotting the motorcycle, he tries to steal it, but the noise wakes Zen. The stranger freezes when Duma appears at the boy's side, flashing his teeth. Zen quickly assures him the cheetah won't attack, and the tension eases. The man introduces himself as Rip, a drifter heading south. Zen explains he's traveling west and offers Rip a ride in exchange for some water. Rip agrees and even shows Zen his own small pet, a galago named Machaka. The next morning, Zen comes up with an idea. Searching the plane wreck, he finds a parachute and rigs it to the motorcycle, creating a makeshift sail. When the wind picks up, the contraption rolls swiftly across the dry desert, covering miles in no time. Later, Rip scouts ahead and digs into the soil, eventually striking a hidden source of water. Their thirst quenched, the group now needs food. While exploring, Zen spots an ostrich and decides it's time to test Duma's hunting skills. At his command, the cheetah gives chase, disappearing into the brush. Minutes later, Duma returns, not with the bird, but with a clutch of ostrich eggs. Rip laughs, mocking that such a soft-hearted hunter won't survive long in the wild. But Zen insists Duma doesn't need to hunt endlessly. He just needs a safe home. He shows Rip the map, pointing to a valley beyond the mountains. Rip frowns, warning that to reach it, they must cross the treacherous Okavango region, a place from which few ever return alive. He suggests they turn back to the city and sell the cheetah for a fortune. Zen refuses, declaring he'll never trade away his best friend. Seeing the boy's determination, Rip reluctantly agrees to travel with him a little further. As they continue, Zen studies his father's old compass, which points west, while Rip leads him down another path. Suspicious but unsure, Zen follows until they arrive at a ghost village, filled with ruins and scattered human bones. Rip guesses the villagers were wiped out in some mysterious disaster. Searching through the remains, he finds a sharp metal point and fashions it into a spear, just in case. While they're still exploring, the distant thrum of helicopter blades fills the air. Rip grows tense, insisting they hide, claiming dangerous people are inside. Zen and Duma duck into one of the broken houses. What Zen doesn't realize is that inside the helicopter is his own mother, Kristen, who has begged the authorities to help her search for her missing son. Moments later, the chopper leaves, and Zen, unaware of how close his mother was, continues onward with Rip. That evening, Rip lights a fire to keep wild animals away. While they sit together, he asks Zen if he knows the story behind the dark lines that run down a cheetah's face. Zen repeats what his father once told him, that the marks help block out the sun's glare during a hunt. But Rip shakes his head and shares another tale. Long ago, a young cub was lost, and though its mother searched everywhere, she never found it. Her grief was so deep that she wept for days, and the tears stained her cheeks with black streaks. From then on, every cheetah carried those markings as a reminder of loss and love. After hearing this legend, the group rests until dawn. The next morning, Rip wanders off and discovers an abandoned diamond mine. Hoping to strike it rich, he slips inside. Sensing something isn't right, Zen decides to leave him behind and continues with Duma. But moments later, A muffled scream echoes from the mine. Without hesitation, Zen rushes in and finds Rip buried beneath a landslide of dirt and rock. The boy digs furiously until Rip can breathe again. Gasping, Rip pleads for more help, but Zen pauses, demanding to know the truth. Why had Rip been leading them south instead of west? Zen accuses him of planning to sell Duma back in the city for money. Rip insists he only wanted to take a safer path through the mountains. But Zen doesn't believe him. He grabs Rip's backpack, scoops up Machaka, and leaves the man trapped in the mine. With only Duma for company, Zen presses forward until they reach a wide river. According to his father's map, this crossing is the last obstacle before the valley. Remembering his father's lessons, Zen quickly builds a small raft and pushes into the water. At first, the ride is smooth, but soon, Duma grows restless, sensing danger. Up ahead, the river narrows into a raging current filled with sharp rocks. The raft flips, throwing them all into the water. Struggling to stay afloat, Zen suddenly spots crocodiles closing in. Armed with Rip's spear, he fights desperately while the current sweeps them to shore. By sheer luck, the trio survives. Exhausted, they stumble onward through a massive cornfield, eventually emerging onto the plains, only to face a herd of buffalo. Spooked by the thundering beasts, Machaka bolts, while Duma sprints after one of the animals. Zen chases after him, but hours pass with no sign of the cheetah. As night falls, predators begin to stir, making the boy's search even more dangerous. Refusing to give up, Zen enters a forest, where he is suddenly confronted by a wild boar. He scrambles up a tree, holding perfectly still as a poisonous spider crawls across his face, praying the boar doesn't notice him. Once the danger passes, he climbs down and continues searching. Deeper in the woods, Duma has been caught in a cage set by animal traffickers. The cheetah thrashes helplessly as Zen searches nearby. Just then, Machaka leaps onto Zen's face, startling him. But the reunion is cut short when the boar charges again. Zen tries to flee but trips and blacks out. When he awakens, he's lying beside a campfire with Duma safe at his side and Rip tending the flames. Rip explains that he freed Duma from the trap and rescued Zen just in time. Ashamed, the boy apologizes for abandoning him. Rip then opens up, admitting that he once intended to turn Zen in for the reward, hoping to return to the family he left years ago. He tells his story. Once a husband and father, he left his village chasing fortune, but life in the city drove him to crime. After years in prison, he has been wandering ever since, searching for a way back to his loved ones. Hearing this, Zen begins to trust him again, and Rip promises to help finish the journey. The next day, they go hunting, but Duma still fails to bring down his prey. Later, they stumble across a tourist campsite. Out of food, Rip and Zen hatch a plan. Zen pretends he's been bitten by a snake, and when the tourists rush to help, a harmless snake slips from under his shirt, sending everyone screaming. In the chaos, Zen and Rip grab enough supplies to last. Continuing by boat, Zen offers Rip his small savings as thanks for all his help. Touched, Rip gives him a tiny diamond he had found in the cave, sealing their friendship. After crossing the river, they follow a mountain trail where Duma discovers a half-eaten deer. Rip warns that lions must be near, but Duma tears into the carcass anyway. When Zen tries to share the food, Duma snarls at him for the first time. Rip quietly explains that it's a sign that Cheetah is beginning to adapt to life in the wild. That night, they shelter in a cave decorated with ancient paintings. Rip recalls camping there as a child with his father. Looking around, he reflects on how much has changed and how easily memories fade. Zen, staring at the walls, admits he hates change too. Ever since his father's death, it feels like everything has only gotten worse. Zen admits he's afraid of losing Duma the same way he lost his father. Rip gently reminds him that change is part of life. It can hurt, but it also makes people stronger. The next day, they continue walking until Rip spots his old village on the horizon. Before they can reach it, a swarm of tsetse flies descends. Rip shields Zen with his coat, enduring dozens of painful bites himself. The venom makes his body swell and weakens him, but he refuses to let go until the flies finally leave. By nightfall, he can barely stand, and rain pours down as predators roam nearby. Using dried grass, Rip instructs Zen to light a fire for protection. The flames hold back the beasts until the storm passes. At dawn, Zen decides to fetch help from the village, asking Duma to guard Rip. But as the boy runs off, lions suddenly attack. To save Zen, Duma lures the predators away, sprinting into a cave and slipping out the far side, outpacing them all. Meanwhile, Zen reaches the village and convinces an elder to follow him back. They find Rip unconscious but alive and carry him home. Thanks to the villagers' treatment, Rip recovers from the poison. When he awakens, he is reunited with his wife, his children, and his aging mother. Overcome with emotion, he begs for their forgiveness after years of absence. Then, he introduces Zen to his family, who thank the boy warmly. Yet Zen can't rest easy. Duma hasn't returned. Setting out to search, Zen eventually spots two cheetahs chasing deer across the plains. One of them is Duma, now running wild and free as he was always meant to. The boy recalls his father's words, "True love sometimes means letting go." With a heavy heart, he turns away, but Duma suddenly dashes back to him, brushing against him affectionately. Zen hugs his friend one last time, whispering a tearful goodbye. Rip watches silently as the boy parts with his cheetah, unable to hide his own tears. Days later, back at the farm, Zen's mother Kristen continues her chores, hoping for her son's safe return. At last, she sees him ride up on his father's old motorcycle, dressed in village clothes with little Machaka perched on his shoulder. Overjoyed, she rushes into his arms as Zen promises never to leave her again. Though life will never be the same, Zen finds peace knowing he gave Duma the freedom his father always wanted for him.